we understood what young adults are going through when it comes to sex selves and the use of contraceptive. So we interviewed some persons to understand their own side of view, and also we interviewed some experts that had more knowledge on this particular topic. Then we come to the realization that some persons are actually shy, like they don't feel free discussing to people they are not familiar with concerning this sex and safe sex and the use of contraceptive.
Okay, so those were some of the insights you gathered, I presume. So let's go to the house hunting in Lagos. Rukeme. I said Rukeme Adeyemo.
For the house hunting um task, we figured out okay, we had to break it down into what we know and what we need to learn about, and the research, then the ideation phase. And we established with the use of user personas how stressful as hunting is and the possible solutions that we can prefer to reduce the stress of house hunting.
So what I want to do now, right, is to show you in this class how to capture your learnings as you move into analysis and synthesis. How to what? Capture your learnings. Because when you conduct interviews, let me start recording. Okay, recording is in progress. So when we conduct interviews, there are a lot of information that you gather, right? So after a few minutes of speaking to, let's say, 5 persons, 10 persons, 20 persons, depending on how large. Okay, guys, give me a moment. I think I have a dispatch rider. Hello, good afternoon. I've been calling the line you called me with. That's been switched off since morning. You can come by 6. I'm currently in a session. Come by 6. Yeah, 6 on the dot. Can we hear me, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
All right.
yes, we can hear you.
So we start to feel overwhelmed. So when you come back from conducting an interview, it's always important that after every interview, beside the fact that you are taking notes word for word what the people are saying, you share your thoughts and the impressions with your teammate right after the interview, right? And so to do that, most times we use digital tools to capture these things like Jamboard, Miro, mural boards, etc. Right? And so I'm going to what's it called? I'm going to walk you through some of the things that you should do after you've written your notes in just a short couple of minutes, so as we make progress. So imagine we have spoken to people, right, about contraceptives, safe sex, and all of that, and we have gathered data, and then we have moved on to the next step in our ladder, all right, which is capturing your learnings, right? All right, which can also be described as what? Analysis and synthesis. I will need everyone to follow, please, because this is important. If we've moved on to analysis and synthesis, what are the things we do? Right, number one, it's important to share your thoughts after your interviews. All right, after your interview or your observation, You can share your thoughts and your impression, right? So, and then there are certain questions you should ask. So, number one, take time to regroup, yeah, as a team, and then ask each other what are your thoughts about the interview? What are the impressions you got during the session, right? And then start to share your impressions. So as the rest of the team are sharing their impressions, someone is capturing it in a sticky note, and then we are putting it together. So when you're sharing your impression, what we should do is we listen clearly to each other's recollection. We listen clearly. We start to ask ourselves questions like this: what were the most memorable whatever? What was the most memorable quote? Most memorable quote, right? That we heard. All right. Um, what was most surprising to you, right? What did you find interesting, right? Were there things that we left out? Were there things that we left out of the conversations? Now, these are things we start to ask ourselves. So now let's say we have come back from your interviews. So I'm going to ask each person in the safe sex and contraception group to share with me, following what you heard, what did you find most surprising during the course of your interview, Mr. Chukuma? Mr. Chukuma, are you there?
Sorry. Hello, I'm here, sir.
What did you find most surprising during the course of your interview?
Okay, on the interview part, it was although it was my team member Rukemen that worked on the interview part, but from the data we gathered during the survey and the interview, we discovered that although not quite surprising though, but a lot of persons, all our participants, I think that's it's also on the summary we sent across. All our participants knew something about what's it called, safe sex, and then the use of contraceptive. So it's quite unfortunate that with the knowledge that people have about the use of contraceptive and then practicing safe sex, we still have a high rate of what's it called, teenage pregnancies. So that's quite interesting for me.
Okay, so with the knowledge of safe sex and use of contraceptives, there is still a high rate of teenage pregnancies. So now, if we put this here as some of the insight we got, clearly it should lead us to a simple question of why. We should ask ourselves, why is this the case, right? So the question now becomes why? Why is this the case, right? Now, what is something you heard from some of your interviewees that you found as a quote that was quite memorable, Rukeme? Miss Rukeme.
I'm with you, sir. Um, I think one of the quotes I got was, I think somebody said, instead of resolving the use of contraceptive, we should just, I think they said instead of settling for the use of contraceptives, they should just abstain from sex. I think that was what one person said.
You have to be sure when you're capturing quotes, right?
Yes,
So you
yes,
capture the
that's
quote
what
and
one
say,
person said.
instead of what?
Instead of resolving the use of contraceptive,
Then what did the person say again?
we should abstain from sex.
All right. So this gives you a perspective from where your respondents are speaking from, right? It allows you to see what is on their mind. How does their mind work, right? And you should ask yourself, if this is something that we should do, why? Why should we resolve to this, right? Why should we resolve to this, right? Now, all of these things that you are doing is to come down to understanding clear insight, right? Clear insight. When you have gotten your clear insight, you want to be able to synthesize your findings. You want to look for patterns. All right. So I've written number one, number two, which is share your impressions. Then go through your notes. Right. Number four, look for patterns. All right. Look for patterns, outliers, and reoccurring themes. What are the things that are reoccurring in the conversation? After speaking to 5 persons, what are they all saying, right? What are they all saying? What is something that everybody believes is the way to go? What is something that everybody believes is a problem? What is something that everybody believes is something to look at, right? So when we return and synthesize our findings and look for patterns, you will now start to formulate, what's it called? You start to formulate the voice, the theme, and then the things that we should address. Okay, we would then come up with what's it called? Insight statement. Insight statement must address areas or challenges, or basically the design challenge. Then number six, from that we can formulate our how might we questions and move to ideation. Okay, everyone, are we together?
Yes.
So Adeyemo, Jessica, and Miss Judith, I want you to walk me through the things you found out during the course of your interviews regarding house rent, blah, 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 in Lagos. You have 5 minutes.
Hello. Okay. The thing I found out, one of the most surprising thing I found out from interviewing the participants is that, like, they about five out of 8 of them has they've been defrauded by agents, all in the name of getting a house. They've had experiences whereby they paid for they paid an agent for a house. They were shown the house. At the end of the day, when they come to see the place that they paid for, they will see that someone else has already paid for the place. So
they reported this a lot. Then um then the most memorable quotes many of them were saying is that if not because of the nature of their job, they won't have lived in Lagos. If not because of the nature of their job, they won't have lived in Lagos because of housing problems.
So what does this show us, everyone? So this starts to show us a couple of things. Number one, when you are done with your interviews, the insights, right, are the deductions that you make from the notes that you gather. The memorable quotes or the surprising things as a result of the conclusions and the patterns that you are finding, right? You are assuming the perspective of the user. You are trying to put yourself in their shoes. You're trying to see the way they see. You're trying to ask yourself, why is this a challenge? Why is this a problem? Right? Because you don't want to end up solving for the wrong problem at the end of the day, right? So this is important. This is important. Are we listening? Are we following?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the reason this is
Yes,
important
sir.
is because first, when you were doing your inspiration phase, you did a little bit of preliminary research. You did some preliminary research, identified some things that were challenges, and then you moved on to asking yourself a question that you intended to uncover with your research. And after selecting people to interview that are affected by the problem, selecting experts to speak to understand the problem, you started to see insights and patterns as to why things are the way they are, right? Now, it is easy to jump into conclusions of what you think the problem is, but it is very important that during your analysis and synthesis, right, you start to use what we call affinity diagrams. So one of the sweetest and the most interesting tools that we use for conducting analysis and synthesis is affinity diagrams. Are we listening?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
All right. I've mentioned this. I hope we are all following because you see, once I move straight into the ideation phase, I'm not coming back. Right. So, affinity diagrams. We use affinity diagrams to connect the things that we get when we do our interviews. We also use focus mapping to narrow it down, right? When some things are not clear, we use 5 whys to ask why, right? We use 5 whys to assess the root cause, or we use the problem tree tool, all right? So these are some tools that we use. Are we following? And then after all of this, we build a persona, all right? We build a persona. We use an empathy map. We can also do a user journey to list out what the users or the participants go through, all right? The user journey to capture their experiences. And then after we have done all of this, we are looking for patterns, we are looking for themes, we are looking for outliers, and then we are formulating insight statements and also our how might we questions. Okay, so from here, I'm going to show you a dummy project that I gave myself so that I can use it to explain this class to you today, this analysis and synthesis phase to you. All right. So I gave myself a challenge that has to do with sleep. People have issues sleeping. All right. So I want to use this to demonstrate to you how to put this to work as you move on to ideation. All right. So I need everyone to be attentive and I need to be sure. If you can all hear me, please unmute your mic and respond.
Yes, I can hear you,
Yes.
sir.
All right. So we are going to demonstrate the inspiration phase now. Demonstrating the discovery, demonstration of the discovery phase. Discovery/inspiration phase. So the problem in this case is sleep. What did I say? Sleep is the problem. Most working adults, all right? Most working adults do not have a sleep routine. They go to bed late and they use their phones, laptops while in bed. So the adoption rate of avoiding screen time at least 1 hour before bedtime is less than 10%. What exactly do we do? So they have hired us. We are called the Designers Association Group of Nigeria. That's our name, right? So the National Sleep Foundation has hired us to investigate and design a behavior change strategy to increase their adoption rate. All right? Avoiding screen time before bed. Okay, so I'm going to ask two of you to explain to me what I just wrote. Jessica, please explain what I wrote, and Rukeme, please also explain. Jessica, go first.
Okay, you said sleep is one of the things that affect lots of working adults, especially because of the constant use of phone and using of laptops while in bed. And the National Sleep Foundation recommended that at least they should have at least 1 hour um, off screen time before going to bed.
Okay, and we have been asked to investigate what's wrong. Just Rukeme, your turn. Explain.
Okay, yes, sir, the problem is sleep. So you said that most working adults they do not have a sleep routine. Like they go to bed very late because they use their laptops, their phone while in bed. And the adoption rate of avoiding screen time at least 1 hour before bedtime is less than 10%. That is, they should avoid using their phones at least 1 hour before bedtime. So the National Sleep Foundation has hired us to investigate and design a behavior change strategy to increase the adoption rate and to ensure more adults are avoiding screen time before bed. That they should avoid using their phones at least an hour before bedtime. So we should design a behavior.
All right. So Adeyemo, what would be our steps for this? What do we do? So if we hired you as a project manager and a researcher, what steps would you take? All right, to do the following. What steps would you take to do the following? Um,
Okay, the
investigate,
first,
hold on, investigate the
yeah, we
causes
learn.
of poor sleeping habits. All right, synthesize your findings and insights of the problem for the design team to work on a strategy. So what steps would you take, Adeyemo?
So
Your voice is very
you
faint. Have you eaten beans today?
no.
Okay, speak loud.
Okay. Step one, you review what you already know, and in this case we know that adults do not have a sleep routine and they go to bed very late, and we define what we don't know. Then we review the barriers or constraints. Then we plan the research methods, and we learn from the people, that is the working adults that do not have a sleep routine. We find out what the issue is, and then we conduct interviews. This conduct interviews. Then we build interview or research guide,
All right.
and
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you. That's a good one. So moving on, let's put to practice this demonstration. So now imagine that we come up with a project brief. We design a project brief. Okay. We are project managers. We are also working as researchers. So imagine we design what? We design a project brief, right? We've been asked to find, what's it called? We design a project brief. We need to design a discussion or interview guide, discussion/interview guide, right? We are asked to find, draw up a research plan to shadow 20 to 40 working adults for a period of 1 month, right? 20 to 40 adults for a period of 1 month, and then conduct in the course of that 1 month, let's say we conduct one interview, one remote video interview, okay? After conducting that one remote video interview, we'll capture our learnings and submit a report for the next people in the team to move forward, okay? Are we all listening? I hope we are all on our laptops today.
You're listening to.
I hope we're all on our laptops. Laptops people, say ye. Those who joined with their
Yeah.
laptops, say ye.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. So I want to share this task for some of you, right? So who is going to design a project brief for us in 10 minutes? Who is going to design a discussion guide for us in 10 minutes? Who is going to design a research plan to shadow 20 adults in 10 minutes? And who is going to um, watch an interview and then capture the learnings? In short, I think all of you are going to watch the interviews and then put your notes together. Yeah. So, but then I want people to volunteer to pick up task 1, 2, and 3. Everybody will do the last two together. So who wants to take the first one? The class is silent though.
I'll take the second one.
Discussion guide.
Yes.
All right, that's good. The rest of us, who wants to take the first one? Project brief. That's the simplest thing to do, DSF. Who wants to take the first one, guys? Rukeme, why are you silent, Rukeme? Don't fall my hand. Jessica.
So I'm not following your hand.
Yeah, you are falling my hand already. Jessica,
Sir,
what is which one are you taking? Chukuma. I'm a project manager. I'm a project manager. Come and manage project. Chukuma.
Sir.
Don't sir me. Which one are you taking?
Sir. Um. Um. Okay, I will conduct the remote interview, sir.
Nobody will conduct remote interview. You are supposed to just watch. There are two things that are left. Project brief and research plan. Two people need to pick it. It's either Rukeme or you or Jessica. Pick now in the name of Jesus.
Okay. So I will do the brief, the project brief.
You do project brief. Good. 10 minutes. Okay.
Eh?
Rukeme, it means that you are left
Sir,
with research plan. Right? Rukeme is silent today. What's going on? Is she in her husband's house? Rukeme. She has run away. She doesn't want to do research plan. Jessica. Jessica. You people don't answer
sir,
now, eh? Don't answer me again ever.
I'm here.
So which one are you taking?
Anyone that you will guide me to do, because me, I don't know. Today is not the day, but okay, the research plan, no problem.
All right, guys. So I'm going to show you an interview I conducted for this thing. I think I did it on Wednesday as a dummy. I just asked my friend to get on the call, and then I designed all of these things I'm asking all of you to design right now. And then I conducted just one remote video. You're going to watch this remote interview and you're going to type your notes out. Okay, you're going to type your notes out and you're going to share it with us. Everyone is going to share their notes with us. We're going to share your notes. Let us know what you found out, right? So that you can know how to do analysis and synthesis. Are we all listening?
Yes, sir.
Great. Please, I want to be sure that we are all ready because I'm about to play the video.
We are ready.
Yes.
Chukuma and Rukeme and Judith, please, are you ready? Or should I cancel this activity?
No, we are ready. I'm ready.
It's only Rukeme that is not ready. Somebody should reach out to Rukeme if they have gone to collect rice. She has run away from class. Okay. So I'm going to play it now. All right. Data and findings. Can we see my screen, everyone?
Yes, I can see.
Yes, sir.
So the interview is for 20 minutes, right? And you are going to listen and follow. Let me know if you can
Thank you
hear.
very much.
Can we hear the sound?
All right. So now,
Yes.
Everyone, please, I need us to be on the same page. Do you have your notes ready? Do you have your
Break.
notes ready to take note?
Yes, not ready. Yes.
Okay. Ademo, are you ready? Sia, are you ready?
I'm ready, sir.
You were born ready. I know you were born ready with a spoon in your mouth. Rukeme, are you back?
Yes, sir.
What's happening to your network?
My
Is it
network
village
went
people?
bad. I don't know, sir. I don't know.
It's village people, yeah?
No, I don't know what happened. But
All
I'm
right.
back, sir.
So you are going
Did
to
I miss
listen to
anything?
a recording. Yeah, you will listen to a recording, Rukeme. Everyone's going to listen to a recording. You are going to take notes
Okay.
from the recording. All right. It's on the sleep thing. All right. So I'm going to play it now. You all
Okay.
just listen.
Um, like I already introduced, my name is Martins. I'm working with Appleseed as a user researcher. Can you please tell me about yourself?
Okay, my name is Dabere. I'm a medical doctor. So that's basically it.
Okay, could you tell me where you were born, Mr. Daberi, Dr. Daberi?
So I was born in 1989 in Owerri,
Okay,
June 29, 1989.
all right. So please tell me about your day-to-day activities and your work patterns.
Day-to-day activities, get up in the morning.
Guys, can we hear it loud and clear?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Are we already taking notes? Because we're not playing it a second time.
Yes, we're taking
Yes,
notes.
sir.
Yes.
Get have my breakfast, get ready for work, then go to work if I'm on shift that day, and I work for like 12-hour shifts or 12 to 10-hour shifts from 8 o'clock to around 6 in the evening. Then I
Did it stop? It's like it stopped to.
Okay, sorry about your network, Mr. Dabi. Please tell me about your day-to-day activities again and your working patterns.
Okay, day-to-day activities include getting up in the morning, getting ready for work, then move to work. I'll stay there. Okay, I'll eat my breakfast there, then lunch. Then also I do 10 to 12-hour shifts. So when I'm done, head home, prepare dinner, watch TV for a while. No, yeah, work on my laptop for a while, then sleep off. Basically,
Okay,
it's
so at what time? Let's say you worked from like 7 a.m. for the next 12 hours, which means you get back at about 7 p.m. and all of that. At what time do
mm,
you sleep off? Could you maybe tell me about your sleep goals? Like when do you sleep?
when do I sleep? If I have another shift the next day,
Mm.
I try to sleep at
You
least
have you seen it?
before 12, 1
Okay, are you
that
already?
night. That means I wouldn't have a lot of things. That means I have to get up early to go to work. But if I don't have a shift the next day, I don't have a morning shift the next day, I can stay awake to up to 2 o'clock or so, 2:30, so I can finish up what I need to do. Because
Okay.
I have things I do, maybe projects I'm doing, maybe something I'm writing, so I need to stay up to finish it up.
Okay. So what do you do before bedtime? Like let's say your bedtime. Like do you have a specific bedtime and what do you do before bedtime?
Uh, yes, like I said, if I have a shift the next day, I'll try to go to bed by around 12, 1 o'clock, 12 p.m., 1 o'clock in the night. So to have a specific bed, that's the range. Then when I go to bed when I try to walk to when I start feeling sleepy. Around that period, I just start feeling sleepy, so I just go to the bed, plug my phone to charge, and I just lie down till I sleep off.
Okay. So you don't have trouble sleeping at night.
Uh, I used to, but these days, after a very long shift, I'll feel tired already, so I will just have to fall asleep. I'll just fall asleep. But most times, if I don't have anything to do the next day and I'm working on something, I don't feel sleepy till I it's very late and I have to force myself to sleep. So I don't. What would I say? I have trouble sleeping? No, I don't.
Okay. So, like on an average, could you tell me how many hours of sleep you get on an average in the past 1 week?
Past 1 week, on an average, let's say 4 hours to 4 to 5 hours.
Okay. All right. And so based on all that you have said and the fact that you're a doctor, your sleep routine varies based on how you work.
Yes, it's dependent on how I work or how busy I am the next day.
Okay. Now, I want to ask your perspective. Um, what do you think? What do you think are things that could maybe distract people from a sleep routine?
Mm, use of mobile devices before around bedtime. That's what distracts my sleep routine most of the time. Use of mobile devices around bedtime and watching, let's say, okay, because I don't watch TVs a lot. So, but use of mobile devices, my laptop, my phone, very close to when I'm about to sleep. Maybe if I see something interesting, it might disturb my sleep pattern. I'm saying from my own perspective.
That's fine. That's fine. Have you ever tried reducing this your screen time? Have you ever tried to reduce the screen time before bed?
Yes, if I really need to sleep on time, and I'm sure if I continue there, if I keep on using my mobile device, I won't fall asleep. So I'll just switch it, put it on silent, and plug it somewhere else so that I can just sleep.
Okay. Were there any like tools that you tried to reduce your screen time?
Okay, using my screen time before bed. No, I've not tried any tools. What I do is mostly put my phone on silent so I wouldn't receive any notifications and switch off the mobile data. So that's just it. So I just use switching off mobile data and putting the phone on silent so I don't get the new notifications.
Okay. So has that always worked?
Yes, most of the time it does. Yeah.
Okay. Any challenges so far trying that method?
Mm, no challenges so far. No challenges at all.
Okay. Just a moment. Okay. So I would like to ask you, what do you think could make it easy for people to reduce their screen time and get better sleep?
Reducing your screen time. I think most of us have become addicted to mobile devices. So, and that's what keeps most people up at night. So, if you try and make your phone as boring as possible by removing notifications, making sure that you don't receive new notifications by maybe switching off your mobile data or your internet, and try to that one would help you fall asleep faster or help you lose, at least make your mind not be very active at that period of time that you want to sleep. The another thing would be switching off the lights at night when you want to sleep, and sleeping in a room that's a bit cold or a bit below normal temperature. It will help fall asleep faster. That's the two things I know. Just making your phone uninteresting and try and getting your body ready for sleep.
Okay, so this is where it really gets interesting, right? People know about benefits of good sleep, but they still struggle to get that good sleep, right?
Mm.
So, is there anything we could do besides giving them the information, right? Apart from all that you have
People
just
know the
said,
benefits of good sleep.
yeah.
Yeah, most people know. I think most people don't really know the benefits of good sleep. Like they know the benefits, but they don't know the hazards of not having good sleep. Like they know, okay, good sleep will help you do this. Good sleep will help improve your memory, but they don't know that if you don't get good sleep, it drops your immunity. So I think people understanding the dangers of not having good sleep first is going to help them ensure that they have good sleep. Then also, I think basically educating people on the reasons why you should have, not only the benefits, using the negative effects of not having good sleep as a way to make them understand that good sleep every night is very important. I think that would help a lot.
Okay, what could we do to make it easy for them to get this message that you just gave us?
Awareness, creating awareness in different forms. Most people these days are on social media, so get them on social media. What do you call it again? Synthesize targeted messages at different age groups, because I think most people that have poor sleep patterns are mostly young people and middle-aged adults. So craft social media messages that are going to target and raise awareness concerning the hazards of not getting good sleep. I think that one would
Okay.
get the message across.
Okay. Do you know about any tools that help people to sleep better?
Yes, I've heard of white noise. I've heard of mainly white noise and playing classical music at night when you switch off all the light. Maybe make a dark room playing classical music. Also, I've heard of something like power naps. I can't remember, but yes, like counting down. Also counting down from numbers when you're, especially at night in a dark room, counting down maybe from 100 to 1. By the time, if you're not, you get bored and sleep off with time. But that's the ones I know. White noise, playing soothing music, and rain sounds at night when you're about to sleep. And also, okay, that's the ones I know. Okay, the other ones are just drinking some kind of maybe milkshake or something like that late at night so that to help you sleep off and all those stuff. That's the ones I know.
Okay, you made some very strong points. I really appreciate them. You said boring. First, you mentioned getting the phone to be boring, counting
Yes.
down until they are bored and then they sleep off, right?
Mm.
Um, yeah, how do we get this boring stuff to like people like yourself who work a lot?
Mm. Most people, making things boring for them is first the person has to be relaxed. So getting that across to us means finding a way for the first of all, they have to create work-life balance, like make sure that there's a particular time that they're supposed to sleep. Like the same thing, leading back to what I said about educating people. If they know that these are the advantages of sleeping well, then they'll have a particular time that they go to bed, and making them understand that, okay, if you make your devices boring, if you make everything, if you count down for so and so number, because some people have problems sleeping, but they don't know how to alleviate it. They think it's lying down and forcing themselves to sleep is going to help the matter, but it doesn't help. So the thing is that making them understand that there are patterns to help you, there are techniques and there are devices that are going to help you fall asleep faster or get good sleep and reduce your screen time. It's just to find ways to pass information to them. That's all I think.
All right. Okay. You've highlighted some barriers for us. You've given us like barriers that stop people from sleeping well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've also said we could get them motivated using negatives. Is there any other motivators or any other thing that can motivate people, right?
Mm, yes, sometimes if you have good sleep at night, when you wake up in the morning, you feel a lot stronger. So negatives are included, then this one is also positives. Because most times, okay, for example, if you're a student and you read, it's advised that you sleep after you read because that's where long-term memories are made. So if they also know the advantages of sleeping, the positives, if you sleep early at night and you wake up, you feel stronger in the morning. If you feel, for men that are of reproductive age, if you sleep, if you have a particular amount of sleep at night, it helps boost your testosterone. So if people can also know that these are the positive, what you gain from actually sleeping, having a good and quality sleep, I think it's going to also stimulate them, because most people don't know that having good sleep or having is because always people are always okay for you to achieve it in life. You have to burn the midnight candle and all those stuff. So, but people also know that there are positive gains for sleeping early. You feel refreshed the next morning. You build better memories. You improve your health in general, your immunity, and your fertility in general. I think it's also going to help.
All right, thank you so much. We are almost done with this session. Are there additional ways that you think we could influence people into developing a sleep routine?
Influence. No, there's none I can think of. If the additional ways, I think the ones I've listed are the things that I know. If people reach out to them or somebody influences them, maybe on places that they have their attention is most, maybe on social media, for working class people, maybe on journals that they read at work, or maybe profession specific journals, like if they are like particular magazines that doctors read, or maybe on their conferences, they find a way to teach them those stuff there. If somebody that's in the tech space, or maybe they have people that are influencers in that space, if there are particular newsletters that they read, you understand, making them understand that sleep is important, I think is going to help also. Profession
Okay,
specific, profession specific media.
okay. If we go to the targeted messages that you mentioned, creating targeted messages using these positives and then the negatives as motivators, right? What do you think could be a targeted message for someone like you who sometimes writes in the night?
Okay, a targeted message from me would, I think it's most times when I bother about me not sleeping early, it's me falling sick because I notice when I don't sleep early for a long period, like if I have very long amount of sleep, like 2 3 hours every night for a period, I most times I fall sick. So the targeted message from me would be like trying to remind me that sleeping on time is going to improve my health. Sleeping on time is going to push my immunity. So I think most times if you go with the negatives first to drag my attention, to drag my possible, I don't know, I have a background as a copywriter, so that's what I'm trying to think as. If you have, if you use the negatives to drag my attention, then you now list the positives also, and the gains I might, what I might gain. It will be a message that I would resonate with more. So the message will be in such a way that, first of all, something that's going to catch your attention, like you, the reason you might be falling sick every time could be because of you have poor sleep, or the reason you might not be feeling, you might be not making new memories, or how will I put it now? Forgetful, also maybe something that will resonate with me. Maybe I might not be bothered about what I call it again. Might not be bothered about being strong for sports, or maybe for reading. That maybe I'm not actively reading that much. Something that is a message that is going to touch at something that is important to me, which is my health, my immunity, and maybe my productivity. I think the message geared towards that will help a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. How do you feel right now, about your sleep routine with respect to your
Um,
health? Yeah.
it could be better, but there are reasons why it's not good now. Like if there are reasons why I don't sleep that much now, but I know with time, if I get everything in order, it could be better.
Okay. Is there anything we can do to support and get you to achieve those reasons faster?
Faster, no, I don't think. I think it's part of a process. Like if you're trying to gain a new skill or you're trying to build something, you understand. Since I have a day job during the night, that's the only time I have to work, or during when I'm so I have to, since unless I have shorter shifts during the day, That is when I can consider maybe if I'm working for like 8 hours during the day or 6 hours, I will know that I can come back and still do what I need to do and sleep on time. I think that's the only place I know that I can. But as for the things I'm trying that keeps me awake at night, they are non-negotiable. Only reducing my work time during the day that's going to help me sleep better at night.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for participating. I would like to know if you have any questions for me, etc.
Nope, no questions.
All right. Thank you so much. Your insights have been really useful and they would help us to understand how people can get to sleep better. And we would use it to see how we can improve their sleeping experiences, how they can reduce their screen time as well. And you're really giving us amazing insights. Thank you very much, Dr. Dabi. I appreciate your participation in this session. Once again, like I said, if there are any additional questions that I have, I will get across to you. Thank you for
No
volunteering for
problem.
this session.
No, Allah. Thank you.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
You too, sir.
Bye.
All right, guys. How many of us slept off? How many of us followed till the end?
I followed though. I followed to the end, but at some point my network was misbehaving.
Okay. So what I
But I
want
was
to
able
see,
to grab
yeah, were you able to
something.
take notes?
Yes, yes. I
Yes,
took
sir.
some notes.
If I ask you now, what were the things that are the notes from that interview that we can now use for our findings? What will you be able to give me? So let's just do a quick demo session, right? We'll go back to that board and then I'll ask you all to produce all the notes that you were able to gather, right? So let's pick notes. All right, let's see the notes that we're able to gather. Um let's see. Okay. So, Jessica, please tell me the things you were able to gather from that interview. Tell me three things from that interview.
Okay. I gather that is a mid-30s doctor that has a 10 to 12 hour shifts most times. Works 10 to 12 hour shift. Has doesn't have difficulty falling asleep, but has terrible sleep schedule. Sort of. Has a terrible sleep schedule. Um,
What is one quote that you can bring from his session?
mm, the things that are important to him are his health, his immunity, and productivity. Health, immunity, and productivity.
So imagine you are doing an interview remotely and you need to type as fast as you can, right? Because you can't be writing with paper. Imagine it's just you. Imagine you don't have a note taker. How are you going to do this? Are you going to record the session? Are you going to get a note taking tool? So all of these are things that as a designer, you have to start to learn to do. Are we following? So this are from Jessica. Jessica gave us
Yes,
this note, right? So CI, give me your notes. Three things that do not involve what Jessica just gave us. Chukuma, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to read through our own takeaway so I don't say what she already has said. Okay, I think when you asked, okay, takeaway, the reason why his sleep pattern is bad for now is because of his work schedule. That's his call time, and then he's learning a new skill. Okay, and he said the skill is going to take a process. It's a process to learn a new skill. So he does his what's it called? He goes to work at night. I mean during the day, and then at night is when he needs to work on his skill. So I think that's one reason why his sleep pattern is being affected. Apart from the fact that he has a long schedule, he's learning a skill which he actually works on at night. Then also, um, he said, I think that was during, if he does not have, what's it called? If he has a longer shift, he works, he sleeps. If he has a longer shift, his sleep pattern um, will be bad. But if he has a shorter shift, he can have a good sleep pattern. He can have a good sleep time rather.
Okay, thank you. Um, Adeyemo, your turn.
So he said that um when he wants to sleep, he reduces his screen time, and when he wants to sleep. He turns off mobile data and puts his phone on silent. Then he also said that the best way for the message to be passed across to people, the message on the importance of a good sleep schedule, is to educate them on the pros and cons of sleeping well. So you
I'm listening.
okay, so you tailor your message in a way that will resonate with the audience or the people you are talking to. Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Judith.
Okay, okay. According to Dr. Dabere, he said that his one suggestion of tools that can help people to have better sleep is the use of white noise and power naps. We talked about power naps, then playing classical music in a dark room, and also playing classical music in a dark room. counting down, counting down from 100 to 10, and drinking milkshake.
Why is so much excitement coming from your voice? Milkshake.
Yeah.
Thank you. Rukeme, your turn.
Okay, sir. He said the use of a mobile device around bedtime gets him distracted from falling asleep. And also, when he sees something interesting on maybe his laptop, he gets distracted. Should I continue, sir, or wait for
Yeah,
you?
wait.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay. He also said we can create awareness. That's to pass the message. He said we can create awareness on social media since most persons stay up late at night going through social media, so we can pass the message through social media.
What else?
Okay, he also talked about his own targeted message. He said when he does not have enough sleep, he falls sick. So his targeted message is sleeping on time will boost his health. Then he said the sleep routine can get better if he puts everything in order.
So we start to ask
Yeah.
ourselves questions after this. Which of these notes are linked, right? Which of these notes are linked? For example, a terrible sleep schedule, affected by work patterns, right? Shorter sleep would be equal to a good sleeping time. So this is a sleeping habit right now. So we can categorize this under the heading of what? Sleeping habits. Are we following? We are beginning analysis, guys. Are we
Yes,
following?
sir.
All right, so we look again. He said, what are the things that are important to him, right? He said his health, his immunity is important to him. But before we go in there, if we had more around a doctor in his mid-30s working 10 to 12-hour shifts, this would have been demographics. So let's just put here, this is the only thing we can put for demographics. The other thing we can put is from the fact that he's from Imo State, right? He's male, etc., and all of that. So the things that are important to him. So let's put that together with okay, tailoring the message. He gave us an example of a message, sleeping on time, and then So tailoring the message. Said the best way to pass across the message is to educate them on the pros and the con. And then this can be connected with creating messages on social media, right? So what gets him distracted? These are things that get him distracted, finding something interesting on his laptop. How can we help people sleep? These can all be categorized as helping people sleep on time. What does he do to sleep better? He reduces his screen time. Why is he not getting enough sleep now? Right? His sleeping habit. So we put all of this as part of his sleeping habit. So now let's put different things across. Okay. Distractors. Let's call these distractors, right? Let's call these techniques for sleep. Are we following?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Suggested strategies. Suggested strategies. So these are analysis, right? So what are our insight statements? And the next thing we will do is to come up with our my tweak question or the problem statement. So this is a simple example of how you can conduct what? Affinity diagram. So affinity diagram is you are taking the things that are similar after going over your notes and you're clustering them together and you're giving them themes. Are we following? Do we understand what we just did?
Can you
Yes,
please
sir.
come again?
Yes, sir. Please, I want to ask a question.
Yes, please.
Is this the same as grouping them into things?
Yeah.
This affinity diagram.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
All right. So moving forward, what do? We now summarize our findings with our how might we questions, and then we now write a problem statement. It is the problem statement we now take into the ideation stage, right? So those of you who are writing a project brief, I want you to take a stab at writing that project brief. Discussion guide. Can you write a discussion guide in the next 5 minutes? Can you write a project brief in the next 5 minutes? Can you do a research plan in 5 minutes, right? Everyone get on your Google document and produce something 5 minutes. So we have 5 minutes timer to get that done. So I'm going to pause the recording for the next 5 minutes. So who wants to go first? Adeyemo. Okay, let's start with the problem brief, project brief. Mr. Sia, is your project brief ready?
Not
Just share your screen. You can share with us, really.
okay, sir.
You need to unmute your mic so you can walk us through what you're showing us.
Okay, please, can we see my screen?
You can see your screen.
Okay, so a project brief is a document or like an itemization of what a project is about, which is to be shown to the stakeholders of a project, which the team can also, the team comes up with a project brief for the stakeholder. Okay, my project brief goes this way. Sleep. I start first with an introduction, which is sleep is to the body what sorry, that's supposed to be what food is to the body. The average human being needs about 6 to 8 hours of sleep in order to function properly. And although sleep is necessary, we still have individuals whose sleep patterns are not really so good. That is to say that we have individuals who do not sleep up to either 6 hours daily in the 24 hours that we have. And this research, okay, is aimed at exploring people's sleep pattern and finding a solution to their poor sleep pattern. This is what I was able to come up with.
Okay, in your project brief, you didn't capture the fact that there was less than 10% adoption rate when it comes to reducing screen time use at least an hour before bedtime, which is the most important part. The most important part of the project brief is the problem itself, right? You have a background. The next thing you should have done, I know the time is limited, right? Next thing you should have done is to come up with that. So what I'm trying to do is to push you guys to actually do these things in very short bits of time, okay? So as opposed to that, this is what the project brief should look like, right? So we can quickly see this on my screen. I'm going to share my screen and share that particular project brief I used that I designed for the particular problem that we just looked at, all right? So I started with the problem. At least 95% of people use some kind of electronic device, a TV, a computer, a phone, or a tablet within 1 hour of bedtime, according to the National Sleep Foundation. Nearly 1 in 5 adults send or receive work-related emails before bed. 85% of American adults tell the Better Sleep Council they have trouble sleeping at night. 1 in 10 suffers from more serious chronic insomnia. According to the Centers for Disease Control, since lack of sleep is linked to obesity, depression, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes, the CDC declares sleep deprivation as a public health epidemic in 2014. The big problem with light exposure that we get from electronics is delaying what our brain interprets as sunset, said Dr. Charles Czeisler, a sleep doctor at Harvard Medical School. He explained that the blue light from our screens signals our brains that it's still daylight, triggering a surge of energy and blocking the melatonin that makes us sleepy. So the challenge is, why is it so challenging for people to build good sleeping habits despite the widespread of availability of information about the benefits of getting a good night's sleep, right? Are we all following, guys?
Yes, sir.
So this part can also be incorporated in your research plan for the person designing a research plan. So we want to investigate the current sleep habits of middle-aged Americans, uncover the competing behaviors or triggers that promote screen time addiction. We want to understand the current sleep needs of working class Americans and uncover the barriers limiting the adoption of reduced screen time before bed. We also want to highlight the motivators or the must-address prompt that will aid the adoption of reduced screen time habits in middle-aged and working class Americans, right? So we then design an approach for our research, that's for research plan, etc., etc. So I'm going to pause here for a bit and allow Adeyemo share with us, what is it? What's it called? Our discussion guide. Thank you. Adeyemo, your discussion guide.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So
You should
we
zoom
first
in a
start
bit.
by okay. Is this okay?
Ask your colleagues if they can see.
Can you guys see my screen?
If they cannot see, just sack them up.
Yes, ma'am.
Eh?
If they cannot see, sack them up.
Someone should answer now.
We can see it. I can see it.
Okay. So the first step in the research guide phase is to introduce the research. That's to the participants. So you explain the premise of the research and introduce it to them. Then you continue by asking warm-up questions to get a background on the person you are interviewing. And questions like age, occupation, what the day-to-day activity looks like, and how many hours of screen time they get in a day. Since we are discussing how screen time affects sleeping patterns. So after that, you ask project related questions like what is your current sleep schedule? Do you have a fixed time to sleep? How many hours of sleep do you get? Do you feel like you get enough hours of sleep? Do you feel well rested? Do you take naps? What factors affect your sleep schedule? Is it something that is within your control? What do you do before you sleep? Do you sleep with your gadgets? Are you on medication that can disrupt your sleep schedule? Have you tried methods to reduce your screen time before bed? Do these methods work for you? What challenges do you face with these methods? How important is sleep to you? How do you feel when you don't get enough sleep? What health challenges do you think are attached to a poor sleep schedule? This is to introduce, like, to make sure that they know the importance of sleeping properly and create awareness. Then, how do you think you can improve your sleep patterns? Then, how can we create awareness on the importance of a good sleep routine?
Thank you
The
very
end.
much, Adeyemo. You no, leave the questions up.
Oh, okay.
You did a good job, right? Some of your questions are close-ended, like do you have a fixed time of sleep, how many hours of sleep? So when we do design research, we try as much as we can to reduce the what's it called to reduce the number of closed-ended questions that we ask, and we shoot for more open-ended questions. For example, um, what is your sleep routine like? What are your day-to-day activities? Something that will allow them to tell you stories and touch on the things you need to cover. All right. Why is this like this? Why do you feel this way about this? So shoot for questions that will open up more explanations and storytelling. Okay. Are you on medication that
Thank,
can disrupt your sleep? Um, but in a short time, this was quite good. This is really, really good. Well done. Well done.
thank you,
Um,
sir.
so I'm going to show you now, guys, the discussion guide I designed for that particular interview that you watched earlier, right? Can we all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Can we see my screen? Can we see the screen, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we can
Yes,
see.
sir.
So on the discussion guide, I put a false name of project, etc. But what's key here is that your discussion guide should capture the name of the organization, the name of the project, the name of the people involved in or doing the research. It should also capture what the objective of the discussion or interview is going to be, right? I highlighted the key part, right? Which were uncover the competing behaviors and triggers, uncover the barriers limiting the adoption of reduced screen time, and also highlight the motivators or must address prompt, right? And then I included the equipment that we'll be using: Google Meet, discussion guide, the recorder, or a note taker. Would also conduct the interview in sessions. Section one will be introduction. The facilitator will introduce himself or herself with the colleagues and all of that. So these are like good because if you design this for your team, they will be able to like go through the session. For example, you could say, "Hi, my name is Martins. How are you today?" The person responds, and then you go ahead to say, "I work with so and so and so and as a design researcher. We're conducting the research on behalf of the National Sleep Foundation. Thank you for agreeing to participate." And then in the part of this particular introduction, you get their consent, right? Consent is very important. There are no answers. You can share your experience with us. Is it okay for us to record the session and take notes, right? If it's okay, then you say, all right, then I'll go on and start recording. You will notice that you only started hearing, you didn't hear all of this during the interview because these parts were not recorded. It was after the person gives you their consent to record that you start to record, right? And then can you tell me about yourself? Where were you born? What was your highest level of education? Are you employed? You see that you did not hear questions like, are you employed, right? When we say, tell me about yourself, the person immediately answered all of these questions all together. Did you notice that during the interview you watched?
Yes, sir.
Good. So it's always good to structure your interview guide or discussion notes so that when you are going to use this for note taking, you can just duplicate it and put your notes inside. So then the core questions. How many hours of sleep do you get? Any trouble sleeping at night? What keeps you awake at night? Tell me about your day-to-day activities. Distractors. Questions that will allow us to understand what is distracting him. Questions that will allow us to understand where he gets his source of information. And questions that will allow him to give us suggestions. Then if we need to probe further, any additional motivators to get people to reduce their screen time, and then closing session. Basically, that's it. Do we get it? So this is a sample of a discussion guide that was used for that particular interview. Are we following? Are we followed so far, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right,
sir.
Jessica, your turn for research plan. Please share.
Okay, I'm trying to share my screen.
Okay.
Oh, okay, just a minute. It's not showing. Okay, can you see my screen?
We can see your screen.
Okay. So basically, the research plan is important because it helps to organize the different elements of the project. Basically, like the title, the objectives, and methodology of what the whole project is about. So here stated that the project purpose and two objectives, but there was no timeline given, so I didn't come up with that. I didn't get the project title. So the objectives that I was able to come up with were from the problem presented, which is objective one, to make scientifically sound and practical recommendations for daily sleep duration across the lifespan. And this particular one, we're focusing on adults. And the second objective I came up with was to increase the adoption rate from the previous 10% that was stated, and improve it and make it more accepted, and also how to make adults and how to get adults to avoid screen time at least 1 hour before bed. So there's going to this research involve a timeline and a methodology. So it basically just keeps in check for the project on everything that is going to be involved in the project. That's what I was able to come up with.
All right. So if you had more time, what else would you have added to this?
The research methodology, the results, and how to go about the objectives, and a list of project members, title, and all of that regular stuff.
Okay. What about the part of the names of people or the people you are going to interview? What kind of interview is going to be, etc.
I thought that's going to fall under research methodologies also.
Yes, that's going to fall into, but you didn't detail what that's going to be.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that, sir.
So we're supposed to have a list of the type of respondents. We're supposed to also have where you're going to interview them. Is it going to be a phone interview, or is it going to be a Zoom interview, or a physical interview, so stuff like that, right? So technically, that's
Yes.
other things that you have included, and that's brilliant. Well done. So let's move on to findings. Rukeme and Judith, were you able to come up with findings?
Yes, I came up with findings, but the problem is I couldn't write it on Google Docs because I had issues with my phone. I will not be able to type it, so I had to write it down
Okay.
on my book.
What we need is what is
Okay.
on the document, right? So let's ask Rukeme. Next time we need our laptops to be ready so that we can put all of these things out. Rukeme, do you have findings for us? If you guys don't have findings, we can go forward, guys.
Yes, sir. I was able to come up with something, but there's a problem with my system. I'm not able to share.
Why?
I'm not able to share.
Share it. Share it with us. Me, I can share. I can share for you.
Okay, sir.
Share it with my email, and then I will share from my end. My email is in the chat box in a few seconds. So, to wrap up today's class, I want to be sure that we all are able to understand how to conduct a light analysis and synthesis, right? Have we learned anything useful today before we enter the last session for today's class?
Yes. But I have a question, sir.
Please, ma, you can ask.
Okay, this analysis and synthesis is still part of the inspiration phase, right?
Yes,
Okay, okay. Thank you.
it's the part that takes us into the ideation phase,
Okay.
right? But in the discover, understand, and all of that, the analysis and synthesis is part of the understand phase, okay? It's not part of the discover phase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rukeme Alpha.
So I'm on it.
Okay, while she's on it, so I will just share my screen and you guys to get a more like a summary of my findings, yeah? So let me know when you can see my screen. Let me just share some findings. Can we see my screen, guys? So in this folder, if you can see my screen, where I have an interview note where I put all the notes that I typed out that I went through. So all the things you will find in the findings, all the things you will find in the findings are from these interview notes, all right? Can we see my screen?
Yes, you can.
Great.
Yes, sir.
So these are the findings. So the findings were eventually grouped into teams, right? But let me show you where I did the work, the raw work for the findings. I did the raw work for the findings in my Miro app, Miro, okay? I did the work on the findings on my Miro app. So you can see my synthesized findings. So my findings were now grouped into targeted messages, methods to sleep, boosting motivation, design direction, distractors, sleeping habits, enablers, and suggested prompts, right? So these are things that we would now use to now formulate our design challenge, which is the same thing as our how might we question, that we will now move on to the next phase of the work, all right? So I'm about to sign into my role so that you can see what it looks like before it came to this summary that you are seeing on the screen. So you could read some of the things that are there. Can we all see my screen? My Miro board is loading.
Yes, sir.
So my Miro board is loading. Um, so yeah. So I created, what is this? Guys, what can we see here? What is this that you can see?
It's an empathy map.
Great. So I created an empathy map which lists out the things he thinks and he feels, right? Then his pains and his gains. So you see his pains here, his sleeping patterns are affected by his work schedule. So those are things that I summarized into insight. He doesn't use any tools to reduce screen time. Interesting social media videos drag his attention. His work shift makes him tired. So there's a typo here, right? He doesn't have problems sleeping. He enjoys making dinner after work. He pushes himself to attain his goals, right? So this is us relating with Mr. Darby. So this is a persona that we created for Mr. Darby, right? Can we see this? Can we see this, guys?
Yes, I can see.
All right. His motivations, his frustrations, then his influence were listed there. And what he does in the morning, during the day, and in the evening were also listed. So this was the analysis board for the affinity diagram that we used, right? After writing all the things we got, we started clustering them into teams and giving them headings. It doesn't have specific sleep time. His project deadlines triggers increased screen time, right? He uses his laptop on his bed. He gets about 4 to 5 hours of sleep. He's charging his devices close to the bed. Those are barriers. The things that distract him is uncurtailed social media scrolling before bedtime. So if you interview 10 people, 20 people, you will get more data that you can cluster, right? These are motivators. These are targeted messages. Boost your sexual health with good sleep, help your brain develop long-term memories, avoid excessive nighttime screen, improve immunity against diseases, builds good sleep habits. Burning the midnight candle might burn you out, right? Natural methods to sleep better, white noise, counting down from 100 to 0, taking supplements or milkshake, teaching people about power naps, playing classical music, keeping the room dark, right? Does this make sense to us, guys?
It makes sense to me.
Yes. Yes, sir.
All right. So all of these were put together and summarized into this. And from here, it will now move to the report. You now create a report after creating this, right? So now I want us to read out the insights. So, and I want someone to explain what the word insight means. Adeyem, what's the meaning of insight?
Like understanding, further understanding.
Exactly, the understanding we gained from the section, right? So good. So let's read out the insights.
I should read it.
Yeah.
Okay. Good sleep will help improve your memory. That's for students. Reduce screen time can boost your sleep and increase your immunity against diseases. hyphen generic. Feel stronger every morning. Avoid screen times before bedtime. Boost your sexual health with good sleep. Avoid burnout in life. Reduce screen time use. Burning the midnight candle might burn you out. Suggested. Should I read that suggested part?
Yes, that's actually the
Okay.
insight.
Oh, okay. Suggested communication strategy. Communicates the hazards of excessive screen time before bed.
So all of those things are under messages that we can target at different groups of people, right? So we're supposed to assimilate
Yes.
these findings and use them for our ideation. So next, methods to sleep better.
Taking supplements or milkshakes before bedtime. Count down from 100 to 0. Teaching people about power naps. Playing classical music and white noise. Common methods or techniques for improving sleep are counting down from 100 to 0, playing soothing sounds, rain sounds and classical music, taking relaxing drinks like milkshakes or smoothies, then preparing the body for bed and designing good sleep habits.
Okay. So what can we use to boost their motivation?
Synthesize targeted messages about the hazards of not having good sleep to increase adoption of screen time reduction. Targeted messages should be tailored to specific age groups. Make the message easy to communicate.
Okay. So if we're going to design the habits for the people, it's suggested that we'll make the phone boring to use and get the people's body ready to sleep and also help them keep their gadgets away from the bedside. Now we could also design work-life support programs for workers as part of employee productivity training. And these work-life support programs will teach people the techniques and methodologies of good sleep, right? Then he said, these are some distractors. The use of the phone or mobile devices around bedtime, keeping the laptops and TV on could disturb sleep, interesting social media content, etc. Right? Most working people do not have a specific sleep time. Sleep routine is affected by work demands and bad sleeping habits. Busy adults get about 4 to 5 hours of sleep. Most workers use their laptops or phones in bed, right? Suggested prompt. If we're going to design behaviors for people, we can suggest to the design team that they can say, after I start to worry about a work project at night, I will say that can wait until tomorrow. After I arrive home from work, I will charge my phone in the kitchen, not in the bedroom. After I get into bed and I'm not sleepy, I will open a relaxing book to read in a dimly lit room. Right? So these are things that we then summarize and put in a report. Ms. Rukeme, is your findings ready? Okay, I can't hear you, Rukeme.
Oh, okay, I've shared it, sir.
Okay, let's just proceed, right? Let's just proceed. But do we all understand how we got here, everyone?
Yes, sir.
All right. So if we understood how we got here, then we can move forward. So the next thing we're moving forward to now is a report. So I'm showing you all of this. I'm painstakingly showing you all of this so that you all can have something that, remember that that project that we gave you last week is what you're going to work on for ideation phase, right? So this is the research report. I'm going to walk you through it in the next 3 minutes. Reduce, can we see my screen?
Yes, sir.
No.
What about now?
Yes.
All right. Reduce screen time for improved sleep behavior change initiative. Research report. Background are model, research objective, persona, empathy map, affinity diagram, findings, and conclusion. All right. National Sleep Foundation and Apple Seed Impact are working together to increase the adoption rates of reduced screen time use before bedtime. Why is it so challenging for people to build good sleeping habits despite the widespread availability of information about the benefits of good night's sleep? Our model, knowledge does not equal to behavior change. Motivators minus barrier is equal to behavior change. Research objective, to investigate the current sleeping habits of middle-aged Americans and uncover blah, blah, blah. You already have seen that before. So research approach, conduct in-depth video interviews among middle-aged and working adults, shadow and observe the behaviors of middle-aged and working adults to understand their screen time habits and triggers before bedtime. So the discussion guide. Then the interview was conducted remotely. Then the persona that we built, you can see, right? And then the empathy map that we created, the affinity diagram that we came up with, then the findings, then the conclusion. The findings of the research indicate that work-life balance programs can have a great impact if it involves the design of good sleep habits, right? And then targeted messaging campaign can be deployed as part of the National Sleep Foundation initiative to leverage influencers and specific age group. So, but then it is at this point that we will now move on to what is called how might we questions, or as it were, we can also call them challenge statements. Okay. So after you have done your interviews and you have gathered your data, you want to now frame your own design challenge, because your own design challenge is how you open up the ideation phase. The ideation phase. So that is exactly what we're going to do now. So take a screenshot of this particular stuff because you're about to frame a design challenge for your work, and then we're going to move forward. Or do we start from here tomorrow so that we can call it a day, since there should not be information overload? Let's have a vote. Do we finish with design challenge or start tomorrow from design challenge, guys?
Let's start tomorrow.
Let's start tomorrow, sir.
Those are two persons against the rest people. The rest people want us to finish today. Do we finish today?
You can finish tomorrow.
No, don't go choose tomorrow. Okay, man, what about you and CI?
Because I already typed on the group chat. Tomorrow, sir.
Okay.
Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you, okay, man.
Okay, sir, tomorrow. My head is full already.
All right. So, Jessica, tell us what we learned today. Summarize for us what we learned today. Adeyemo will also get ready to summarize. Jessica, the floor is yours. Jessica, I've run away. Adeyemo, tell us what we learned today.
Okay, so today we handled the inspiration phase, but you gave us a what's the word? You give us an example to work with, so we could understand all the theory we've been learning. So we started with the design challenge, then the research methods, the interview, then the analysis and the analysis.
Right. Your summary of findings, and then your design challenge. So after tomorrow, then you will now go back and say, okay, this is going to be our design challenge. So when you learn how my tweak questions tomorrow, I expect that you all will go over your work and write your how my tweak questions from your insight statement, and then we will now move forward.
Okay, sir. Should we submit it on the group or where?
I paused to listen to the last part of the question. You send it via email.
Oh, okay, okay.
Please, sir, can we get the recording of this class today? I don't know. I need to go through the whole thing.
Okay.